Hello, my friends. This week's little blurb is going to be a wild and woolly one. I posted a couple of intros, if you will, to start us out. The first one asked about if there were any of you that are experiencing a little bit of brain fog and some challenges with retention. And also, those of you that might be interested in reducing what I refer to as attention spam, buckle up. We're going to dive into it a little bit. So let me start with this whole concept of attention spam. It's different than attention span with an N. This is with an M, as in Mary, retention spam. Retention spam is nothing more than anything that's distracting us, anything that's causing our attention to get absorbed into something else, thus impacting us in the same way that we hate spam that hits our inbox or our text feeds, just something that we just tend to swipe past over and over. I was in a conversation the other day with a good friend where we talked about this evolution of a swipe economy. We're going to talk about that in a minute also. But what I want to walk through today is this whole concept of reducing attention spam. And then I want to go back to the title of this post, which is Savor. And that's going to have some bearance on what we discuss as well. So let me begin with talking about what I've noticed about myself, where I see opportunities. I'm going to give 5 things that I believe can immediately impact our ability to reduce attention spam in our life, and some challenges and also some opportunities for us to continue to work together in ways that we can grow and be certainly more present in our relationship. So back to the top, what I was noticing, and this was every day, and I'm still noticing it today. So I'm in the trench right now working through this personally, but I would get out of my truck. I'd drive to work in the morning. Those of you who have a commute or are used to just driving to and from your home or wherever it is, you get in the zone. You really don't even know half the time where you are. You've got this cognitive understanding of the roadway and the path between A and B, but you get there. I would get out of my truck. I'd lock my truck door, walk into work. 5 seconds after I locked my truck, I'm walking across a parking lot and I'm thinking to myself, did I lock my truck? Sometimes I'd be on my phone and I would be in an app. Maybe it's a social media app. Maybe I'm in LinkedIn, and then I go to Instagram, and then I go to Facebook, and then I go back to Instagram, and then I go back to LinkedIn. And I'm thinking to myself in that moment, wasn't I just here, or did I forget that I was here, or was I really there? This ease of the rabbit hole and this massive diversion to not remember what I had started to begin with when I had an idea, this shorter memory capacity that's dictating what I had just heard from a recording that I wanted to capture, or some task that I had started and then I had forgotten by the time I got there what it was. This concept of, what did somebody just say to me? They were talking, but I have no recollection of what they just said. So I found myself asking questions of somebody that I had already engaged with, maybe on the same topic that I'm asking the question about, and really to the point of, without a calendar and reminder system, with backup reminders in other people's calendars, I don't think I would remember much. So if this sounds familiar to you, and I know that it does, I've had conversations with some of you, but I don't like this. It's not comfortable for me. It's something that I'm not stoked about, and I want to try to solve for. I'm not that old, and I know that sometimes our memory can fade with age, but I think it's something different, and I want to get into that. So before I do, the big question for me in this sense of urgency, it comes down to, who am I letting down when these things happen? My answer to that is every single person in my life, including myself. So I'd like to switch gears for a minute, and I want to talk about the headline for this week's post. I chose the word savor for a very specific reason. You'll also find that there's a correlation as we work through this. So the definition of savor is to taste or enjoy something completely, or to appreciate fully. I've got a dear friend named Travis Anderson who says in this regard, he calls this eating the whole pie. Robin Sharma recently referenced some of the work by pioneers in the field of positive psychology, confirming that savoring life is a powerful ritual to boost happiness and performance. I want to say that again and repeat what Robin Sharma said about the field of positive psychology and the research that they're doing, again, confirming that savoring life, remember appreciating fully or tasting or enjoying something completely, that by doing that, it's a powerful ritual to boost happiness and performance. Check yes on both of those. Game on. So it's more than just being present. When we talk about savoring, it's more than just being present. It's a full capitulation to the now with a heightened focus on the flavor and the taste of this moment right now and all it has to offer. So while we might be able to envision what a life would be like if we had time to savor or if we were in that moment and really taking it in, and we can see the power of savoring in our life and all it has to offer, but in that same moment, we're also noticing that our ability to do this is dwindling right in front of us. In fact, it's dwindling right in the palm of our hand. And what I'm referring to is this attention span. And what is it right in our hand? It's our smartphone. As I write and record this, knowing full well that I've been seduced personally by this rampant and unchecked habit of the smartphone. While they provide us massive value in our lives, we rely so heavily upon them for decision reminders, but sadly, we also rely upon them hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second for that dopamine hit. So attention spam, what is it? That swipe economy that I just talked about, it's a swipe economy of massive proportion. Why the word economy? Because we actively barter and exchange time and money in this chasm. There was some college study that was done on the impact of our cell phones on test results. And they took some sample groups and cohorts of students, and they divided them into different groups, and they would take some tests, both some aptitude tests, some cognitive tests, some skill set tests. One of the control groups would place their phone in a separate room, turned off, and then they would enter the testing area, and they would be without their phone. Another control group would have the phone present, but not turned on, while also being visible, but not turned on. And then the third group, their phone was turned on with notifications happening. And so those were the three test groups, the three cohorts. What they found is that the test scores, the aptitude intake, the relative result of the different tests that they would run in each of these cohorts was found in high favor of those that did not have their phone in the room. They were able to focus more intently. They didn't have the distraction. In fact, they didn't even have the proximal relevance of having a phone on the table nearby them to just give them something else to think about. And those that had the phone on with distractions coming in, whether it be text messages or reminders or just turned on so that they could see something was there, that was the lowest performing group. James Clear talked about the myth of multitasking, and this is where I believe it really resonates, and I think this is the reason that so many of us struggle with our short-term attention. So James Clear on the myth of multitasking, this is what he said. Yes, we are capable of doing two things at the same time. It is possible, for example, to watch TV while cooking dinner or to answer an email while talking on the phone. What is impossible, however, is concentrating on two tasks at once. Multitasking forces your brain to switch back and forth very quickly from one task to another. This wouldn't be a big deal if the human brain could transition seamlessly from one job to the next, but it can't. Multitasking forces you to pay a mental price. Talking about economy again. Multitasking forces you to pay a mental price each time you interrupt one task and jump to another. In psychology terms, this mental price is called the switching cost. Switching cost is the disruption in performance that we experience when we switch our attention from one task to another. A 2003 study published in the International Journal of Information Management found that the typical person checks email once every 5 minutes, and that on average it takes 64 seconds to resume the previous task after checking your email. In other words, because of email alone, we typically waste 1 out of every 6 minutes. Now that study was done in 2003. That was 17 years ago that we were checking our email once every 5 minutes. I would submit that we probably check our emails less than that. Now, maybe we don't. Depends on what mode of communication we're in. But I do know this, that we check our phones for messaging, reminders, notifications, social feeds, whatever it is, we're looking at that phone in most instances way more often than once every 5 minutes. And I'm speaking for myself and observations that I've made. That assessment is grounded in the data that I have just visually. So, if back in 2003, we were checking email once every 5 minutes, and then it took us 64 seconds on average to resume the previous task after checking your email, today, with a swipe, sometimes happening in milliseconds, it's no wonder our brain is in fry-out mode. It's no wonder that we're just completely non-attentive and that our attention is so short, if it's even existent half the time. How much of life are we missing? If it takes us 64 seconds and we're swiping multiple times a second or just a few seconds apart, our brains are not even functioning in the capacity that they were built to function. We are rattling our brains and shaking things up in such a rapid fashion that I believe we are shortening the pathways in our brain. We are obliterating memory and moments of importance, moments that could be savored in an instant. So, with that, and again, this lesson is for me, maybe more than anybody else, but I'm recognizing that I need a change in my life, and so I'm talking about it here today. Here's 5 things that I believe we can do right now to reduce attention span. And so I'd offer them up to help you rearrange your environment, help me rearrange my environment, and to create a new ecosystem for change. So number 1, learn to solve for distraction. We have tools and resources for that. We can use technology for good. On your computer, most of you will have a do not disturb button. On your cell phone, you'll have a do not disturb switch or button. Use it. If we recognize that we have distractions throughout the day, when I need space, if I'm writing, if I'm working on my book, or I'm getting ready to do something that I really need to focus on my efforts and I don't want the distraction of anything else, I turn off notifications, I shut down the sounds, I'll even put my plane into airplane mode to protect that space, which leads into number 2, protect your time. Schedule owners are high performers. Let me repeat that. Schedule owners are high performers. Protect your time. Be intentional. Schedule it. Pick your time. Pick your day. Schedule blocks of dedicated review and post time. If you want to be on social, if you need to be on social, or if you need to be in your inbox, or if you need to be on text feed, schedule time for it so that when you're there intentionally, and you're there on purpose to get something specifically done. Maybe it is to catch up on the day, to catch up on friends, to see what's happening. But be in that moment. Schedule it in your day. Don't have it transcend your full day schedule to where you're checking it every few minutes or every few seconds or multiple times in an hour. Protect your time. The third thing, slow down. Stop multitasking. When you're able to be present with the task that you're working on or the person that you're communicating with, and this really comes home when you're present with someone at home rather than competing for mental space and capacity, that slowdown can be massively meaningful in the lives of those people that count on you. So that leads into the fourth tip. Let's learn to honor the people in our life. We started the game, but guess what? We're not choosing the competitors. Let me say that again. We started the game, but we're not choosing the competitors. What I mean by that is we're not choosing the people that are competing for our time. We're not choosing them. We're not saying yes to them. When somebody asks you something and you're on your phone, whether it was an interruption or not, put it down. Or acknowledge them and say, hey, can I have just a second? Let me finish this because I want to be fully present with you. And what you're about to say to me or why you're here is very important to me, and I don't want to miss anything. So honor the people in our life. Again, we started the game, but we're not choosing the competitors. A sign of respect or a massive sign of disrespect will happen in that moment and in that choice. The other thing is, as we honor those in our life, ask them for help. Let them know your plan. Let them know how you plan to honor them by not competing for time and space and energy with them with your smartphone. The fifth thing goes back to the title. Savor life. Savor life in every moment. This swipe ecosystem of in and out ideas with no time to even reflect or savor has us at a loss. So, savor every moment. When we talk about savoring, take every single thing in. Be quiet enough so that you can observe what's happening around you, so that you can see that person, see them in their eyes, feel their presence. Be in that moment. And in savoring, when we actively engage, it doesn't just stop in that moment, but we should have enough cognitive awareness that we can carry that forward into the day and reflect upon that in moments of silence and journal it. Part of savoring would then be having gratitude and reverence for that moment that we had that day. So let it be known right here and right now that I will do better. I must. I challenge you the same. If this resonates and you see an opening for this sort of shift in your own life, I have no doubt that the rewards will far exceed that little dopamine hit we've learned to love. And in the end, I guess what I'm saying is when we're together, you and me, I want just that. I don't want any distractions. I want the space to savor all it has to offer. So hello, my name is Art. I'm your brother, friend, and someone who cares deeply for your success. I'm grateful for you. Your value as a human being is infinite. It brings me great joy to be on this journey with you, learning by your side. Moving forward, you're going to find me more intentional with our time together. I'll be opening up a monthly interactive coaching broadcast. It's going to be one Saturday a month. It's going to be free, where we can just be together. It's a place where we can learn together. It's a place where growth will be felt and had. So stay tuned for more details on that. If you want to be on the list, hit the link in my bio or private message me, and I'll make sure you get the invite and details. I hope this week finds you more intentional with your time, more disconnected from your smartphone, with more time to truly savor what this life has to offer. There's music between the notes, and if you'll give yourself the space to listen, you'll hear a beautiful melody. Growth always is a choice. Until next week, my friends, make it a great one. And remember to always honor the gift.